Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to, really pull apart the key insights from some of the world's most interesting innovations.
And today, we're looking at Prophy AI. It's a name that keeps popping up if you're following how scientific research is evolving.
Exactly. You're listening because you want the important stuff quick and thorough. So today, we're digging into how Prophy AI started, basically from researchers' own headaches, and grew into this, pretty significant tool.
Mm-hmm. And we're drawing on Prophy's own story of how they got started, plus a blog post that mentions their CEO. So pretty direct sources.
Right. The mission today. Let's figure out how this idea, born out of frustration, really, became such a player in the science world.
Well, the origin story is, I think, really telling. It wasn't some corporate strategy. It started with two working physicists, Oleg Ruchayskiy and Alexey Boyarsky.
Active physicists. Okay.
Yeah. And they were just running into that classic problem, finding the right research papers efficiently. The tools they had just weren't good enough.
I can imagine. So much information out there.
Exactly. So their reaction wasn't just to complain. It was, okay, let's build something better.
Which is pretty cool. And it started as an academic project, right? Not like a startup from day one.
Right. Back in 2009, initially they were thinking about a better recommendation engine, specifically for scientific papers.
Yes.
They even had a name for it early on, ScienceWise.
ScienceWise. Okay. So the key thing right at the start is it came from a real need felt by actual researchers.
Absolutely. People who lived the problem. And that idea didn't stay simple for long. By 2010, 2011, they were already working on what they called a semantic model.
Okay, semantic model. What does that actually mean in this context?
Well, think of it like teaching the system to understand the concepts, the meaning behind the words, not just matching keywords.
Okay. So if one paper says gene editing and another says CRISPR.
Well, the system gets that they're related, even if the words are different. And crucially, it could do this across different languages.
Wow, okay. That's a big step up from just keyword search. Huge.
It really was. It allowed for a much deeper dive into the research content.
And people noticed this early on.
They did. They actually won something called the Outrageous Ideas Award, which, suggests people saw this was genuinely different.
An outrageous idea award. I like that. It signals they were really thinking outside the box.
Definitely. And this focus on this ontological approach, basically mapping out how scientific concepts connect, that seems to have been really fundamental, the bedrock for everything else.
Right, building that knowledge map from the start.
It set the stage, which leads us to the next phase, going from academia to, a business.
The transition.
Yeah, between about 2011 and 2016, ScienceWise became Prophy. And that's when Vsevolod Solovyov came on board as a co-founder.
Adding another key person to the mix. And were they still refining that core tech?
Oh, yeah. They actually used crowdsourcing, getting input from the research community to help build out their knowledge models.
That's smart, using the community to improve the tool for the community.
Exactly. And all the while refining that semantic analysis, making the system smarter.
So when did it become like a real product people could use?
The big moment was 2017. They launched their first major commercial product, Referee Finder.
Referee Finder. Okay, finding peer reviewers. That's a known challenge.
Yeah, a huge one. And this launch really marked the shift. Prophy wasn't just an academic idea anymore. It was a proper tech company. They built a dedicated development team.
And using modern tech too, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned things like React, GraphQL.
Yeah, adopting that modern stack, single-page applications. It meant they could build faster, more interactive tools for researchers. Smoother experience.
So they're building the team, launching the product. What came next?
Growth.
Growth, exactly. And listening really hard to their early clients. That feedback was apparently vital. In 2018, the team grew internationally. First members from Ukraine joined.
That feedback loop seems crucial. Making sure the tool actually solves the problems people have. Couldn't agree more. And Referee Finder itself kept evolving based on that feedback. By 2019-2020, it wasn't just finding one reviewer.
Oh, okay. What else?
It started helping assemble entire expert groups, people from different fields maybe. They developed specific panel composer technology for that.
So moving towards facilitating collaboration, not just individual tasks.
Precisely. And then came a really huge validation point in 2021.
What was that?
They won a public tender to provide services to the European Research Council, the ERC.
Wow, the ERC, that's massive. That's serious validation.
Absolutely massive. It proved their tech wasn't just innovative, it was robust, scalable, trusted at a huge institutional level.
Okay, so they've definitely arrived at this point. Recognized player.
No doubt. And the awards kept coming too. 2022, they were finalists for the Vesalius Innovation Award, voted most popular startup by the STM Association.
STM, that's the big publishing association.
Right. And they got that same most popular startup nod again in 2023 from the Academic Publishing in Europe conference.
So the industry was clearly taking notice.
And individuals, too. As Vsevolod Solovyov, the CTO and co-founder, he got an APE award in 2023 for innovation in scholarly communication.
So recognition for the company and the people driving it. Nice.
And they were integrating, too. In 2023, they integrated with Aries.
Aries Systems, the manuscript submission platform.
Yeah, one of the big ones, editorial manager. So making their tools fit right into the existing workflow for publishers and journals. That's smart.
Very practical. Less friction for adoption. And this year, 2024, still going.
Seems like it. Finalists again for the Vesalius Award, this time in London. And building more key partnerships. Alexander von Humboldt Foundation.
Okay, prestigious.
International Union of Crystallography. And a big new one with PNAS.
PNAS, Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Wow, okay. These aren't small names.
Not at all. These are deep collaborations, embedding Prophy right into the scientific ecosystem.
So looking back at all this, what's the secret sauce then? Why did this particular solution take off?
I think it comes back to the origin. It wasn't tech looking for a problem. It was researchers.
Solving their own problem.
Exactly. They had that deep firsthand understanding of the bottlenecks, the frustrations in the actual workflow.
And it sounds like their goal wasn't to just, like, blow everything up and replace humans.
No, not disruption for disruption's sake. It was more about enhancing the process, respecting the human element, the judgment, the insight.
That's core to science.
Their mission seems to be, let's automate the tedious stuff, the searching, the matching, so researchers can focus on the actual research, the thinking.
Freeing up brain power for the complex problems.
That's the idea. And they talk about this community-centered approach, technology as an amplifier for human ability, not a replacement.
Helping people do their jobs better, essentially.
Helping them connect, find the right expertise, cut through the noise, taking on the routine tasks so researchers can tackle the breakthroughs.
And breaking down barriers, too. You mentioned the multi-language thing early on.
Yeah, bridging those gaps, language gaps, disciplinary silos, making knowledge flow more easily. And they're clearly still pushing, refining the tech, looking at new ways to manage scientific knowledge.
So wrapping it up, the big takeaway seems to be, if you really understand the user's world, their actual needs.
And combine that deep understanding with genuinely smart, innovative tech.
You can really make a difference in how something fundamental like scientific discovery actually happens.
It's a powerful combination.
Absolutely. And it leaves you thinking, doesn't it, as science gets more and more specialized?
Hyper-specialized, even.
How much more critical do tools like this become? Tools that help you find the connections, the relevant work, the right people, even if they're outside your narrow field.
That's a really important question for the future, I think. How do we navigate this vast ocean of information effectively to keep progress moving? Something for you to definitely ponder in your own area of work or interest?
Definitely food for thought. How do we connect the dots faster?
Indeed. Ensuring the right knowledge gets to the right people at the right time. That's key.